All right, here's a quick video on how to unlock dimensions on any picture, postcard, or printout using the scaling rule in your zine. Basically, what you're gonna do is make a little custom ruler out of a scrap of paper. Ideally, the scrap needs to have a square corner intact. First, I take a known dimension, ideally the largest one that I can, and mark it on my piece of scrap paper along the straight edge and the square corner. In this case, I can look up the dimensions, and it's clear that the overall height is 36 and 5/8 inches. So I find 35, 36, and I guess at 5/8. Then I take my scale rule, line it up on the bottom, and then slide it over along the scaling rule, keeping it square to the bottom until I hit 36 and 5/8. Then I can go ahead and start marking other known dimensions on my piece of paper. And you can be as precise as you want to be. Oftentimes I just list numbers in intervals of 5 and then create tick marks in between rather than writing each number like that. Then I can take this scale ruler and I can use it to measure any other dimension. If I wanted to know exactly the thickness or the width of that molding, I can hold this up and see that it's 1 inch. If I want to see how wide this door is, I can hold my scale rule up and see that it is 14.5 inches. If I want to see how tall it is or how high, I can see it's 11. If I'm curious about these split turnings, I can measure those too. That's 10, 11, 12, 12.5. You can see the magic of that. Now, of course, this ruler only works within the context of this photograph. So what I usually do is tear it out and write the page number and the book. And then I put it in as a page marker. And that way I know that I've measured that photograph and I have the information right there. Now that was a very large photograph, at least compared to this scaling chart. So let's do another one just to go over the concept and to prove that it's possible with a much smaller image. Okay, let's see if we can find something smaller. Oftentimes photographs of furniture are quite small. And, oh, this looks good. All right, let's try it with this settee. All right, one of the interesting things about this piece and using the scale rule for it is that this book doesn't list overall heights or any real dimensions. So we're gonna have to go based on assumptions. However, with chairs, that's relatively easy because often this measurement from ground to seat is within a range of 16 to 18 inches. So the easiest thing to do, I think, is mark the top of the seat in relation to the bottom of the foot, and then take it to your scaling rule, assuming that it's 17 inches, which is right in the middle and therefore as close to average as we can get. So we're 15, 16, 17. So I'm pulling my scale rule back until my 17-inch line lines up with, there it is, 17 on my scale rule. I'm gonna just check and make sure that this is nice and square. Count up again, 17, double check, yes. And then I'm gonna start making marks. So there's 15, there's 10, 5, and then I just mark the numbers in between with ticks. There we go. All right, Now, if I want to, I can obviously keep going, and that's helpful because what if some aspect of the chair is taller than 17 inches? So why don't we go ahead and do that? Knowing chairs, 35 inches seems like a healthy place to stop and assume I'm still gonna get all my measurements, but we'll find out soon enough. All right, and before I forget, I will just mark that this is page 148 in American Painted Furniture. And let's measure some stuff. We can see that the width of the crest rail is 5 inches. We can see that the width of this intermediate rail is 2 1/4 inches. We can see that the thickness of this post is about 1 1/4. Can see that the thickness of this leg is about 1 3/4 at the thickest point. We can see that the thickness of this stretcher is just a tiny bit over 1 inch, and that these spindles are somewhere around 3/4 inch. So then I take this scrap of paper, put it in the book, and close it up, and know that I have this for future reference. Thanks, Scale Rule.